The best part is when everyone's like, no, I do have to get this out. They're like, no, you don't have to get it out. Yes, I do. So the glee that they took from trying to read my triggers, like, really, guys, you're going to read an email, my words. As a writer, I'm offended. It was bullying. Yeah, it was being a bully.
Well, welcome to my home/studio, where I'll be modeling the process to end post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as shock and awe, also known as battle fatigue, but what I've renamed as pictures, touches, sounds disordered, because it's a series of sensory processing, right? Because our bodies are constantly processing that information that you know is wrong because someone's basically contradicting themselves. You know, this is sort of a social thing that we do where we know someone's BSing us and yet we accept it.
I did it. We did it. I keep repeating my thoughts because I got them caught, and yet this technology thing is lost. That's why, hey, can we make it better? Seriously, the designers and the tech people, but don't fucking trigger me because it's coming up. Why? We can make choices. I like you more than you. Why? Because you're predatory and you are not. That's like just people. Why is this so hard to explain? Don't you guys recognize? Don't associate. You don't have to be friends with everyone, all right? So pick and choose, and why the words bubbling up from my words saying, well, they're not my friends. Why? Listen, look at their behavior. Really? This is what you want to be around? Let me show you what you do to reject and not reinforce behaviors you don't agree with. Okay, it's okay to disagree, but also say, you know what, that's not me, but we are in a social setting, so absolutely. It's a limited capacity, so it's totally appropriate. All right, I'll teach it to you, like I said. Did this privately for years. Sorry, y'all. Just remember, you had that access then. You won't have it again. All right. I tech messed up, so then it happened again, so I have to let it out. That's it. It comes out in poetry, so I recorded it, so hopefully it will be fixed now. Thank you. Text direct. That's where I've got to go right now. That's the adrenaline, and that's what only one person knew. So remember, I'm in my 40s. Okay. 40. I'm 40, sorry. Okay, bye.
And fight for, equality, which is basically, don't treat me differently. Okay? All right. Take care. First of all, being an educator means you are an expert in trauma. You live it, see it, and hear it every single day, and every decision you make will absolutely change a life. They don't have to live in darkness and suffering and be able to make choices that they absolutely have complete ownership of, whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice. Learning from mistakes and always being able to correct a behavior is a skill that you don't just automatically have. You need to have the life experience in order to know what to do, and that doing something hard is sometimes the best way to achieve a goal. It kind of saddens me that I have to even speak about this because I came into being on the board of directors with the intention to make the neighborhood better, because I had heard from residents that they were going to move away because their packages get stolen and nothing is done about it. I'd heard from residents that they weren't getting responses from the property management office, and I've heard from residents that there was some strange thing with the transition that was happening. So I decided to go out for the board, make a couple committees to make things better, because I had decided to stay here in this neighborhood, still believing in the marketing about how this is a community until I joined the board and realized it's really not true. I came down to the lobby, didn't recognize staff member, went to the office to double check who this person was, noticed a new property manager, asked about the hours of the office, and was told 9 to 3 because this was literally dependent on my survival. I'll explain why later. The place I live since 2009, when I literally bought into the marketing that this is a community where everyone's going to treat each other nicely. It's interesting to have multiple board members from the past and current tell me that the atmosphere on the board was so terrible because of the staff, and yet I don't see that in any of the evaluations. So first of all, I want to give 100% credit to the board members who have engaged in really unprofessional and deceptive behaviors. Now, these might be some accusations that I can't prove, except for the fact that I've been documenting this process, and the only thing is that my voice has gotten better because I show up at every meeting. I listen and observe what happens, I notice when the answers to the residents are not exactly the answers that we've talked about or the ones that make sense, and the fact that when the residents show up, things actually get done. So I was a victim of violence in this building. I let it be known before the very first meeting that safety was going to be my number one concern, as well as the shipping issues, because a lot of my packages go missing and they don't seem to be recovered. The issues began almost immediately. Now I do a process to end PTSD, which is to describe it. I've been describing triggers privately with my healthcare team for a number of years, as well as describing the issues with education, healthcare, in the form of discrimination, retaliation, and stigma to a wider audience online. I'm not pleased to talk about this story because it's scary living here when residents have told me they felt retaliated against and board members just don't want to listen to it, even though I totally understand what they are feeling because I'm going through it currently. I'm getting yelled at for asking questions yet again regarding a hiring and firing decision I'm distancing myself from because, again, if I can't get documentation for what I'm told, then I'm not going to be able to make that decision because I think you should just provide the documentation so I can trust you. That's it, and that has been the issue from the beginning. Well, welcome to my home/studio where I'll be modeling the process to end post-traumatic stress disorder, what I've renamed as pictures, touches, sounds, disordered. It's true that any two people who experience the same event are going to describe it differently, but the pictures, touches, sounds, disordered refers to somebody who is blatantly trying to rewrite a narrative. And I think we should consider it a present stress disorder, that being the disorder of someone else who's trying to say and do things that aggravate you purposely, because it's a biological response. We've all felt that anxiety, nervousness, we've all felt dread and that pit in your stomach when you didn't do your homework last night, you don't want to be called on by the teacher. We've all been there, where we know with full awareness that our objective is to wiggle out of trouble and consequences. Come on. We need to start desensitizing ourselves to the language of mental health that has been created and continues to be stigmatized. There's nothing wrong if you go to therapy, and therapists can absolutely harm you. And that's the thing I found non-existent with specialist at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and why I was already very much aware that they're not getting this story because they don't see the violation of kids with special needs as that big of a deal. They're telling me superficial sentences that I hear all the time, but it didn't make it in the report, and yet that was the only thing I reported. Screaming, yelling, self-harming students, and the facial expressions of the administration when they're obviously lying to me about whether they're going to give my students a classroom. They took a completely different reality where a corner of a room that has food, scaffolding, bicycles, one of those wetbacks, ladders, and people, because it was the office for the after-school program. There were people in there all the time. Is that really the best place for a student with special needs to learn? I guess a hallway or a gymnasium or the cafeteria is the proper place. Why don't you just give me the room on the first floor that's empty? Well, because it was the multi-purpose room where the parents hung out. This is a very unique school indeed. Parents have all the power. Don't forget. It's a YouTube video where I get to talk into the camera. This is the first time and hopefully not the last. And writing, okay? Those are what I decided are going to be how I personally restructure. Because trauma is individualized, so are the methods used to recover from trauma. They also have to be individualized, specific to the identified triggers and cognizant of the support groups that exist. In order to put away the strongest of the triggers every single day, because I accept that violence once in the body stays in the body every single day, I decided that it had to be writing. I am certain that writing is the individualized therapy that I need to end trauma because it is visual, auditory, and tactile.
these 3 things were first understood in books because it's visual, auditory, because you hear the dialogue, you actually can hear what's going on each page, and tactile, because you're turning the page and feel the weight of the book. Something that maybe we moved away from because we read on technology, but that's something that has always stuck with me and why I prefer books still. Now, with my injury, I wasn't able to pick up a book and turn the pages nor read because of chronic vestibular and vertigo, which made print very dizzy and created instant head symptoms. But I'm not going to give up on it, obviously. And the memories of reading and what that did to the body are still very fresh. Like I like to say, words do something to me. The thing with YouTube is that the final step is always going to be film, because somebody purposely used triggers from my past to, traumatize and to make sure I was speechless. And that was the only way why they could do what they did, trusting that I would never talk. And that's why sexual assault, and especially using triggers that they're absolutely certain are real, because I've lived my entire life not wanting to take photos and not wanting to be on camera, because that being an origin of violence for me. And there was only one person who ever knew. That's it. That's why I have to change everything about myself, not just to prove it to this person that they are credited for giving me my awesome life now. And that's how you flip trauma, being grateful for what that happened so that you can just exist with yourself. But also to prove to my body that it's safe and that nothing will ever happen like this again where someone can take advantage. It's literally that simple, right? All right, so those are my individualized trauma. And you'll never know it because I don't show it, because I'm really good at shoving that stuff down. And why, to some degree, I'm really happy for the chronic pain, because I know I'm not going to be able to do it. The path to least resistance is to give in to these triggers and accept. It will happen every day, because once violence is presented to the body, it truly does stay in the body. Okay? You can't avoid everything forever. And why I do this project. All right? Modeling how to end PTSD live. The rest of the video I was gonna explain, but you know what? I'm gonna open it up to comments. I only ask that you put the timestamp in, and I'm getting really good at checking those notifications and responding almost immediately. So have some patience with me. If I'm going to put myself out there so I can model true collaboration to remove the fake, phony, poser, lame, gross collaboration that I witnessed between all these tag teams, because you need one person or one organization or one group to do the bad deed, and you need all the other people to okay it. I want to end every trauma, because I actually see that it's possible if we can recognize that trauma is created by dishonesty. Give people the opportunity to make sense of facts on their own terms with real paper trails, the documentation to prove what you're saying. Because I trust that people are going to make the right choice. One quality I share with people that I really get along well with is that we don't accept your bullshit, all right? Just be real. Enough is enough. Instead of creating all this extra drama and, letting your mental health instability and insecurity and inadequacy pop up now and again and just dump on people, you should try to take care of it, all right? That's all I'm saying. No, thank you.
Basically, don't treat me differently. Okay?
Now, this is where I need you to really keep an open mind when it comes to trauma research, because there'll be some phrases that I say that are either going to be their words verbatim PTSD or my words on verbatim PTSD. Their words are the worst words used to hurt, demean, humiliate, coerce, manipulate, deceive, or emote. My words are the best words because they're the words necessary to drown out their words. Anyway, when I say this phrase, it is true. It's what I absolutely believe. But there's an So the reality is I'm not going to be able to make my deadline. There's no way. I didn't time it correctly, and I waited too long. But thank you to the board of directors. Because without them, I would not have even thought about my deadline, and the adrenaline got me through it. And I can absolutely say my methodology works, so why is mine? When is I have a doctor's appointment, I'll be prepared for that. I'm about to pick up some healthcare records because all you have to do is correct your mistakes and acknowledge it so you don't do it again. That's it. How do you structure your apologies? Recognize what you did first. Anyway, I'm not going to make my deadline, so I'm sorry, but this is Smarty MC. Smarter Than Trauma presents dating, mating, relating, lesson sessions, and confessions. I'm doing this methodology live, and the playlist be how to never buy a house. Don't do this, even if the opportunity presents itself and you can get away with it, because you never know when survivor, victim, patients will speak. Future tense. And finally, my cats have the best offense, defense, which is your local and global advocate. Local, because I'm up in a city near you, face to face. I do that too. Or global, because I'm on the World Wide Web, www. That's it. But I don't check my emails. I quit. Thank you. I give up. Why? Because they lied. That's not fair. So we have to change the policy and the law first. Make a very strong consequence because they were very clear. They don't want to answer questions and they don't want to get in trouble and be blamed. I hear ya, but you're still going to have to go through it. Why? Because their shame is not my name. Why do I care about your name so much? Because I'm making sure you understand what's going to happen. You got to consent, and now we know. No, they do not. They do not have to consent. They are bullies, and they will use it. Here's the evidence, the replay, the mocking voice. Guys, bystander abuse. This is the validation. I already had the heads up. Warning, warning. This is what they'll do to you. That's why I kept saying the residents don't want to come here. They're scared. Now I'm scared to come here. So you gave me a gift by violating the physician accommodations when I said from the beginning, everything on paper, tactile, touch. Now I'll explain that with my business card. I have no problem passing it out to people in the park, so I can't be scared of them. But I definitely have people I'm scared of touching my shit, and guess what? Geez. White men. Why? Well, the things they say to me about my race. So what the hell? What's wrong with my face? Thank you. And I'm done with this. This was part 1. Season 2, part 2 starts next. So I said it all. We're going to now touch paper. Gosh darn it, that pen and pencil, which is penis, clearly phallic symbols. Thank you. Stay tuned. I'll put the video. This story is going to help explain how to put away non-convalescent photographs. It takes time to get through this. Bye. It's happening again, the adrenaline, and why? Yes, we'll just keep removing the tailspins again and again. That's how we do this shit. That's how I discovered it. And live without fear and realize that's what it takes to kick the others out of here. You brought your bad energy mojo into my home, and now I'm saying no. Welcome to Smarter Than Trauma. Audio trigger for me to write the scene that is on visual, audio, and tactile replay. She's perfect. And I'm a fuck up. The anger, the greed, the lust, and the fear. 5 men that I absolutely said, get out of here. Good job. Because one aspect of dialectical behavioral training is you have to catch the behavior, the emotion, or the thought, and it's impossible. So focus on one. Because we're at a dinner table, and this is when somebody starts to tell. They get it. School kids. And this is when somebody says how they've been feeling. And this is how
And this is somebody's attempt for the first time to reach out to those individuals that are making them feel a certain way over and over. And now that I'm a witness to it, all I can say is, well, if you plan on doing it, I support you. And tactile, because they're sensory related to touch. And that's why it sticks. So don't make me feel differently, is what this person was trying to say. But the way they said it came out in a way that literally nobody responded to. So he had his say, and everyone ignored it. And this is an origin of trauma. The lesson is for the individual who is trying to get their point across, that you have to confront these issues head on with the individuals that are doing it so that they recognize how they make you feel. And for the individuals that have used ignoring or non-responding as a strategy, it doesn't work, because that is education, healthcare, and housing, the board of directors, in a nutshell.
I broke it up. Thank you.
Bye.
I created the YouTube because of COVID, and they're lying. That's my trigger. Go figure. And also because I'm really excited to get on with the next stage of my life. I created all the films already. The first one was because of a child that told me the importance of music and why I would never give it up. He secured it to me. So how do you secure people to you when you know their triggers, traumas are going to come through because it's the same behavior, and even if they don't mean to? Attach them to the bestest things in your life, your world. For me, it's my family, my friends, the things I love best, and obviously the fact that, hey, I was born a girl. Thank you. The first playlist is how never to buy a house. Yeah, use the cat as leverage, as a threat, okay? And also how to throw a small family wedding. So on my Instagram, if you follow me there, you'll catch it there. That's where all the images go. Because quite frankly, I'm done with posting live. Somebody ruined it. That person connected with me at Compton. That was a long time ago. Is that how long you've been following me? Because it's a trick. C'est un truc. And now I know. And I'll tell you all the things that you need to know. Absolutely. Because I want you to have the best life and be with the right person for life. That's what I'm into. Why? Because I didn't have pressure to be a wife. If that's what you want, that's fine. But I got to actually pursue what it is that I want. And I get to choose who I'm with. Because my grandmother was betrothed. And she crossed an ocean. We always talk about it. She took this lifelong, totally amazing trip.